I have some crystal contacts, some new crystal contacts I want to share with you today. Okay, Isa is the main crystal I'm working with for the crystal contacts. The crystal transmissions, as I will often call them. Isa is a citrine quartz crystal. She's in a teardrop shape. Quartz crystal is six-sided. If I turn her upside down here, you can maybe see the six sides. She works really great with me. You can see she's just smaller than my hand. She's very easy for me to maneuver in my hand when I'm doing the captures, and she's just like glue. She just fits in there like a glove. However, you can use a small crystal, a much larger crystal. The size and shape of the crystal, even you can see she's full of inclusions. I mean, she's not super clear, although she has clarity in areas. She has lots of inclusions in others, and she features, as this question often gets asked, a large rainbow cluster right at her center, which is where a lot of the color in the frames comes from. Okay, so for me, the biggest part of the process is listening for the call. So when someone is calling me through this crystal, I can feel it. I will start to have the idea to pick up the crystal, that I need to start picking up the crystal, that I need to start working with the crystal. It'll just keep pushing itself more and more forward. And this is a very large part of my process. And once I do pick up the crystal, the first part of my process is to connect with Isa, to connect with the crystal itself. Okay, I want to not only shift my brainwave patterns wholly out of beta, I want to shift my brainwave patterns into the frequency match of the being that is calling. This is going to take me into a deep alpha, and as I begin working with the crystal, it's going to take me into the theta waves. And being able to function in the theta waves is not something that's easy. They, as you may know if you go out of body yourself, are very intoxicating. You may need to employ some things to keep you focused in the reality and on what you're attempting to do here, which is bring through a wave from another point in time to your wave here in this point in time through the mean of the crystal. Fascinating process, hard to wrap your mind around. I know that this is actually taking place, but let me say this. If you can do it with this, you can do it with this. The process of opening a window, I will mention right here now, is a process of triangulation. So if I'm wanting to go out beyond the body of this crystal itself, I am going to pick a point, and it's going to be a triangulated point. This face, and this face meet right here at this point. And I'm going to take the camera, or just my gaze, if I'm doing it just for myself, right into the point in this crystal. And windows are going to start to open. Fascinating, because I can actually see the windows open. And you can see the light change as you go in. The light waves, the sun beams are carrier waves, and they can carry information, carry data that can be processed through the crystal and, sent to me, processed through the crystal, and received here on my end. Fascinating, right? Also, and I can go into this crystal, into the crystal itself. That's going to be going into the elemental realm. Okay, and the elemental realm, I can read this rock. There is a story in this stone, and I can capture those as well. The process and the work that we're doing with the crystal is so that we can take what is an invisible experience within myself and visibly show you. People in physical space often want something, some physical proof, some physical mean to understand what it is you're saying, and this is just something that we're doing to help that along. So each of the brain waves and the frequencies within each of the major brain waves has its own visual and visible spectrum. Okay, so when we're in the beta brainwave, we're principally seeing our 3D physical reality and only our Earth-like 3D physical reality, not 3D physical reality anywhere else. So it's a lockdown sort of wave, which isolates you in a particular point of focus so that you can have a particular experience. And other elements of what exists right here while you're right here in this wave doesn't get through to you. Okay, and so when we shift into the alpha wave, this is a whole nother frequency pattern, a whole nother frequency wave. And there's data, there's information in this wave that isn't in the beta wave. And so you can see that as you shift your brainwave patterns into these other waves, this additional information is going to come through. And as it comes through to you, it can be focused through the crystal and captured with the camera for others to see. But it first requires you seeing it. Okay, and what's really happening is you're transferring the contents of what's in your own awareness, what's in your own visual field through the crystal and onto the camera. It's not just the being who's presenting in the frame. It is the frequency wave of that being. It is the frequency waves that I am emitting as I am getting the capture. And so all of those frequency waves are in there. Where these beings are is in there.